Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40k Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Orcs and the Tau. As we get into Orcs versus the Tau, we're talking about two very badass campaigns that enlist both of these armies fighting against each other. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40k content every single day. And of course, because it's the end of the year, we are doing our subscriber appreciation giveaway, so stay to the end of the video to get an awesome Tau prize. With that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Orcs versus the Tau. At the time of the defense of Fjolvasha, ethereal An-Shi was already nearly 40 years of age, old for a Tau, and was looking forward to spending his last years on the Paradise Sept of Altala. A much-respected life was behind him, many long years spent helping to expand the Empire into space, by providing guidance for the Tau in his care. Hailing from the hot-blooded Sept of Yorla, An-Shi had perhaps a better understanding of the Fire Caste and their ways of war than other ethereals. It is said that on occasion he went as far as to join them in their battle rituals, honing his skills with the Honor Blade to a level where even a Chasvray could not pierce his defenses. His skill with a blade had reached the level where spirit, weapon, and body had achieved complete harmony. In what was supposed to be his last assignment, An-Shi led a Tau colony force to a world he named Kaltir, the newest world in the expanding Tau Empire. Infested by feral Orcs, initial progress in claiming the world was slow, but under An-Shi's guidance, Fire Warrior teams were soon able to push the Orcs back from the main areas of Tau settlements. Within 4 years, the world was flourishing. The Fyo, or the Earth Caste, built many fine towns across the main continental mass. Fjolvash was one such town, a mining outpost in the low foothills of the mineral-rich mountain range, some 400 miles to the east of the capital. On a tour of inspection of the outlying towns, An-Shi and his bodyguards became trapped in Fjolvash when a horde of feral Orcs surrounded the town and launched a surprise attack to capture the mine workings. The existing garrison of Fjolvash had been augmented by An-Shi's Fire Warrior bodyguards, and the Orcs were cut down in their hundreds. Early in the fighting, the Chasvray of the Fire Warriors was beheaded, cut down by an enormous Orc knob. The loss of this heroic warrior sent a surge of panic through the ranks of the Tau warriors, and it seemed as if though their defenses would crumble. An-Shi leapt in front of the knob and cut him in two with one blow of his honor blade, planting the haft of his weapon between the shore halves of the corpse. Hearted by the ethereal's brave defiance, the Fire Warriors' line steadied, and they threw the Orcs back. Again and again the Orcs attacked Fjolvash, and each time, An-Shi led the defenders in battle, fighting alongside his warriors and spurring them to unheard feats of valor. He dispatched stealth-armored warriors and a member of the Corps, or the Air Caste, to take word to the capital, as he knew that against so many Orcs, it would only be a matter of time until they were overrun. The battle raged on, the Tau defenders silhouetted by the flames of burning buildings. The Fire Warriors were fighting at the limit of courage and endurance, held together by the indomitable will of An-Shi. Every time their line bent back under the Orc assault, An-Shi was there, his flashing honor blade a shimmering blur of silver steel as he cut down Orcs by the dozens. An-Shi moved like quicksilver, dodging killing blows, twisting and weaving through the air in a graceful ballet of death. Wherever he struck, Orcs died, and soon none would go near him, so fearful were they of this warrior who could not be killed. Eventually the Tau were forced to pull back to the inner perimeter of the defensive walls which the Fyo had constructed, and there they prepared for the next assault. An-Shi stood in the ranks with the surviving Fire Warriors, hoping that the Corps had managed to carry word of his situation to the capital. The Greenskins attacked again, and though the Fire Warriors slew scores of Orcs with every volley, they simply could not kill enough to prevent them from reaching the walls. All through the burning heat of the day, Orcs charged the defensive walls, the mound of dead before it growing every second as the Fire Warriors killed with grim efficiency. The walls were beginning to give in place, and the Orcs poured through these gaps whenever they appeared, swamping Tau battlesuits and dragging them to the ground. Each time the Orcs formed a wedge within a breach, An-Shi led a counterattack to hurl them from the compound. As dusk approached, less than 50 Fire Warriors remained alive, and both forces sensed that the end was near. As the Orcs massed for the final attack, An-Shi ordered a retreat into the barricade shrine at the town center, knowing that there were too few of them to hold the full length of the wall. The fire warriors readied their last clip of ammunition, while the workers of the field cast took up their picks and shovels, ready to fight in hand-to-hand combat. With a roar of pure hatred, the orcs swarmed over the wall and into the compound, burning and destroying everything in their path. Fire warriors shot from prepared loopholes, thinning the first wave of orcs, but unable to prevent it from reaching the building. Orcs set about the door to the shrine with giant axes, climbing the walls to smash through the roof and screaming their bestial war cries. The first orcs to enter the shrine were killed swiftly, but there were always more pushing their way inside. Anshi fought at the shrine doors as they were finally ripped from their frame. Together with the last of his fire warriors, Anshi stood ready to fight, his honor blade cleaving the air before him in long sweeping slashes. If they were to die, then they would die together. Suddenly, the orcs were thrown into silhouettes as a series of rippling detonations exploded behind them. Sweeping through the flames came the bulky form of dozens of devilfish troop carriers, guns chattering with deadly firepower as team after team of fire warriors poured from their interiors. Alerted by the core, the full wrath of the Tau now fell upon the orcs' rear. Lumbering broadside battlesuits sprayed the orcs with plasma fire, cutting them down in droves as hammerhead tanks blasted huge holes in the orc mobs. Within the hour, the orcs were either dead or fleeing, and the leaders of the recently arrived fire warrior cadre found Anshi still standing at the shrine doors, his honor blade slicked with orc blood, a handful of his bodyguards left alive. Despite the terrible casualties, the defense of Fiovage was hailed as a great victory. The ethereal shrine still stood, and the mine workings were still in the Tau hands. The survivors of the siege hailed Anshi as a hero, the fire warriors pledging to serve him for the rest of their lives. News of the victory soon reached the ethereals on Tau, and rather than allow Anshi to spend his remaining years on Altala, it was decreed that he lead fresh expeditions to expand the Tau Empire. There would be no peaceful retirement for Anshi. Orc warlords fighting against the newly established empire of the Tau have often found themselves sorely outgunned. This has always been irritating to the orc forces involved, and sometimes even resulted in greenskin retreats, the warlords muttering to themselves that the Tau have no idea how to fight proper. One exception is Grog, a crusade of vengeance that extended deep into the territory of the renegade Tau commander Farsight. Grog Ironteeth, the war chief of Al Santa, had become one of the Tau Empire's most deadly foes. His fleet engaged the Kroot war spheres, drifting through the space lanes of Dalith. Grog had found that the Kroot made excellent opponents. They were mercenary aliens who preferred to engage at close quarters, and they could be relied upon to provide a vicious brawl upon which the orcs thrive. Just as the two races were settling in for a protracted campaign of head-bashing, the Tau came to aid their Kroot allies. Grog was furious. He declared war upon the Tau, determined to show them that the orcs were not to be trifled with. Unfortunately, the war chief's initial invasion of the Tau Sept world did not go according to plans. His armies were outclassed and outgunned again and again. Though he had an entire empire of orcs to throw into battle, he found that their numbers were being whittled away with worrying speed. Grog decided to take a different tactic, enlisting the help of as many tank busters, flash kits, and freebooters as he could, including the mercenary Captain Badrock. With this upgrade to his arsenal, he prepared to battle once more. Grog encountered even fiercer resistance as he penetrated the Farsight enclaves in the north of the Tau Empire, but this time he was more than ready. Ludas, carrying crackling death guns converted from captured Tau weaponry, exchanged lethal volleys of fire with the Tau gun lines. Battle wagons and looted hammerhead tanks pounded the mass ranks of the Tau fire warriors with heavy munition, as Grog and his boys stomped towards the enemy gun lines. Deathcopters corkscrewed through the skies in aerial battles with battlesuit teams, preventing them from disengaging. Most impressive of all, Captain Badrock and his flash kits lit up the night, annihilating team after team of desperate Tau warriors with their snaz guns. The carnage was only stopped by the arrival of a Manta missile destroyer, which mercilessly cut down the flash kits in a volley of railgun fire. Badly wounded and out of cigars, the captain was forced to retreat. It is rumored that Badrock pursues the great and graceful ship to this day, hell-bent on revenge. Perhaps if the Tau had adhered to their usual hit-and-run tactics, they would still have carried the day, but Commander Farsight was known for his aggression and martial pride. The bloodiest battle was yet to come. As the battle of the northern enclaves escalated, Groggs embarked upon perhaps the most cunning plan yet. Central to the plan was the concept of retreat, a tactic all but unheard of in Orc culture. If it weren't for the large number of Blood Axe war bosses in Grog's employ, he would have never carried it off. As the forces of Commander Farsight pressed forward, the Orc front line fell back, hooting and hollering and clutching their heads. The Tau forces, caught in the thrill of the hunt, overextended themselves. Suddenly, the remainder of the Orc forces ambushed them from either side, closing up the Tau hunter cadres like a pair of giant green jaws. The Tau High Command were shocked to the core. Their forces had been outmaneuvered and trapped by the brutish alien invaders. They scrambled reinforcements to evacuate Commander Farsight, but Grog's war machine was too vicious. The war chief and his boys pursued the retreating Tau back to their base, burning it to the ground and looting as many Tau weapons as they could. With every bit of Deca they found, Grog's boys became more of a threat, and soon they were tooled up with more highly powered weaponry than even the greediest flash kits could wish for. The tide had turned, and it was now likely to turn back. Since that day, many more warbands have flocked to the war chief's banner. Grog has taken 3 Sep worlds in the space of a year, locked in a war of attrition that the Orcs can afford, but the Tau cannot. No matter how many times Farsight and his cadre cut down the Orcs, more follow close behind, as new armies of the Greenskins make their slow but deadly approach. This is the nature of the Greenskin culture. Once word spreads of a good fight, peace becomes a distant memory. So it is that the Tau Sep worlds are constantly embattled by the Greenskins of the Eastern Fringe. Their fight for expansion, now a simple war for survival. But I'm only kidding. Tau players in this edition aren't the best competitive-wise. I don't want to rub that into the Sound Alchemist, but I wiped the floor with him last battle. Like, it was horrible for him. I think it was turn 3 and I was done. I tabled him. Again, I don't want to rub that in his face or anything, but I beat him so bad he's probably never going to play Tau against me again. The Orcs versus the Towers, it's kind of like the staple or like the very common trope of 2 armies going head to head. You have the feral Orcs, even the most sophisticated Orcs of like Thraka and his teleporters and all that kind of stuff. They're still very feral compared to the Tau, who have absolutely all control of their own technology, and of course they're all about shooting, whereas the Orcs are about close combat. So it's awesome whenever you get lore within the codexes of these 2 awesome armies. There was a certain campaign that I was looking for, and I couldn't find it. I looked through the 5th edition codex, the 6th edition codex, and the most recent codex, and I couldn't find this campaign that I wanted to share with you guys, but it's basically a campaign where a bunch of, I think, Blood Axes or Death Skulls ended up boarding a Tau ship that was carrying like a pretty like heavy caliber gun that was destroying Orc ships like nothing, and they ended up like turning it and using it to destroy a planet. If you guys remember the name of that campaign, if you guys remember the name of the war boss who led that charge, let me know. I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, but it's always fun to hear the stories of the Orcs versus the Tau, just because they're opposites. They have really good fluffy lore. Now, the reason that I wanted to create this video is because we are doing another giveaway. We're giving away the Tau Starter Set. One of the most, I think, best bang for the buck type of battle sets. It's a lot better than I think the Orcs, because you get more useful things. Every single piece within this box set is more useful than the Orcs. Like I said before, the Orc Starter Set, the Death Dread, you don't really use that much. And the Pain Boy, same thing. It's like very small amounts of army lists actually use those 2 types of models, whereas with the Tau Starter Set, you get a lot for what they are offering. But before I ramble even more, you guys can win this by simply commenting down in the comment section below. You can comment whatever you want, like this video, and of course, share it with your friends on Twitter or Facebook or Reddit, whatever social media you guys use. It's also important that you subscribe, because this is a subscriber appreciation giveaway for the end of the month. The reason that we are doing so many giveaways is because it's the end of the year. What better way to say goodbye to 2018 than to give a bunch of starter sets away for you to start playing. A lot of you guys have always mentioned that you love the lore, you read the books, but don't play the game. This is the perfect chance for you to start the tabletop game. You could win a starter, and this is really all you need. I mean, you are going to be playing Tau, which kind of sucks, but still, you can win this, and it would be a pretty cool start to Warhammer 40k tabletop games. Now again, anybody can participate anywhere in the world. Just make sure that you do subscribe and that your YouTube channel is set to public, because once we pick the winners from the comment section below, we make sure that you are a subscriber and that you like this video. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I should talk to you guys a couple more times before the year ends, but if not, Happy New Year's, I guess. I don't know when this video is going out. Before I ramble even more, oh, don't forget that we also have another starter set, the Orc Starter Set Giveaway in the 40 facts on the Orc Empire of something or another. Check out yesterday's video, or the Orc video that came out recently. I don't know when it will be. But yeah, thanks for everything, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.